Hi guys and gals, Ripsy Thun here, and usually this vid would have been a summoning vid, but due to some misfortunate technical difficulties during the recording, I was able to record an hour-long painful summoning video, but after the recording was done, I found out that for some reason it only captured the audio version of it. So yeah, that won't be seeing the light of day. Interesting commentary though. But on that note, back to the land of the living. Just recently got away from the creeping crud that kept me pretty much from talking for about a week. But during that summoning session, and I may add, being stuck in bed with the magical quartz refill button pretty much leads to bad decisions. Just going to throw that out there. But just to briefly summarize how that summoning went, I was able to get 13 Crimson Land of Shadows, 1 fragment of 2030, 23 Makoto Bride trainings. It got to the point where I started seeing them in my nightmares. And the trolley part is, I got every single assassin servant except MHX. So every time one flash, first one, Carmilla, second one, Steno, then I see the super glitter glowing summon, and I'm like, yes, finally, it's what I wanted. And guess who showed up to dinner? It was Jack. Jack again. Even though she's no longer on raid up, she pops up. Funny. So 600 Saint Quartz down, and I did not see a single rate up servant. Not a single one. I'm pretty sure I went through the 5 stages of grief in one single evening. Not in the typical order. No. It pretty much went into acceptance. Acceptance is first, but it was a false acceptance. And then it was bargaining, accompanied by, it was a little bit of anger. Just a little bit. Okay, it was a lot. It was a lot of anger. There might have been some swearing. Just a little bit of flowery speech. Just a little bit. At the end, it just kind of ended, not in the typical last stage, but it was just defeat. It was complete and utter defeat. I sat there, a broken man, kicked and spat on by the gacha. That's enough for my ranting. But be that as it may, after that evening, I decided to come up with a better plan on how to summon, at least for me. So I'm going to be using this graph right here. So we have the servant category and the craft essence category. We're going to separate into the really want, kinda want, and then the meh. So for really want, 5-star servants, 400 Saint Quartz, that's the maximum. Kinda want, 120, meh, 60. I'm going to explain what these categories actually mean. But for the 4-star, there's 120, kinda want, 45, meh, 30. Then there's a craft essence. Not too many people roll exclusively for craft essence, but sometimes the craft essences are really good, so it sometimes warrants it. So for the 5-star craft essence, we're going to hit them with just 90 Saint Quartz, kinda want 33, and for the meh category 15. For the 4 stars, you almost always get 4 stars. Especially, well, if you're guaranteed a 4-star if you do a 10-shot. So for the really want, just a singles, 10-shot, 30 Saint Quartz, kinda want 9, and then for the meh, I just give you a ticket. Now, these are pretty much separated into percentages. The really want category is a 70% chance of you getting what you want. Kinda want, 30% chance. Meh, 20. But it's meh. You really don't care. You're doing it just because, yeah, it'd be nice. Not pressed, but it's shiny. So for the servants, there are pretty much 7 basic reasons to summon a servant on a banner. The first one, a servant is near the top of his class, like stats. It's just a powerful servant, even without its skills. The second is, it has amazing skills or an amazing noble phantasm. Thirdly, it strengthens the current team weakness. So say if you have an arch team and it just really buffs it just really helps your arch team or quick team, whichever team you're running, that's another reason. Fourthly, if it's limited time servant. Fifth, great artwork. That it's a lower tier reason for me to summon, but it is taken into account. And of course, if they're your husbando or waifu, that's always a reason. And the last one, it replaces a poor servant class. So say for example, your best servant is currently Gilius de Race. I know I just kind of rip on him a lot, but he's the best example I could ever think of that comes to mind instantly. So say if you're rocking Gilius de Race and you have another Saber servant that comes out, it may not be great, it may not be sparkly. However, it is leagues better than your current Saber servant. So that's a reason. So, the really want category, it must fulfill at least 5 or more of these reasons. Kinda want falls into 3 or 5. Meh, 1 or 2. We don't care. We care, but we kinda don't. For craft essence, it's a little bit different because it's not. Craft essences aren't really that multifaceted. They serve a semi-singular purpose. Now, they'll either enhance or rectify servant weaknesses. It will go for skill scale. So say for example you have a crafting essence that boosts your MP damage by 30%. So say one comes out, it boosted by 60%. That is a noticeable change, so that's another reason why you may get a crafting essence. Another category is versatility. How is it just for certain specific instances? Does it work for almost any servant you can equip it to? That's another reason. The next trait is artwork. Artwork is always a reason to why if it has a beautiful artwork, I will try to get it just for collection purposes. But that's another reason. The last two is, of course, if it's event beneficial. So if it increases drop rates or increases point gain or increases damage like it does in Saber Wars currently, that's another reason. Sorry for the stuttering. I am not the most eloquent person. And the last one, if it's time limited. Time limited always comes into account on if you really want that event crafting essence. So in this one, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6. There's 6 categories to why you would try to summon one of these crafting essences. So for really want, we're just going to give 3 or more. That's more than enough. Kinda want falls into 2, and meh, at least 1, I guess. It's meh. Okay, now these numbers are semi-tested. Let's see. During the past Saber Wars summoning session, at around 400, I was able to get Jack the Ripper, begrudgingly, but I was able to get a 5-star servant at around 400 Saint Quartz. However, the rate up 4-star Nero, who has constantly eluded me, did not get until roughly 650 Saint Quartz in, which is drastically different from the 120 Saint Quartz maximum that will now be implemented for future summoning. But even then, I did continue upwards to around 850 Saint Quartz, and at 800 Saint Quartz, I was able to finally pull MHX. For whatever reason, I needed MHX since I now had a MP3 Jack the Ripper. But question for later. And with that being said, Saber Wars now has only about 1 day left, maybe 1 day and a half, depending on where you're living at. So if you haven't reached the 2 million mark for points, I highly suggest you try, at least attempt to get as high as you can. For those who have already hit the 2 million mark, I still advise doing the Equipment Gathering Star Cluster quest. That's good for Talons of Chaos to drop. After the event's over, it will become fairly challenging to get Talons of Chaos again, and most well, not most, a lot of servants need these as you get higher in at least skill ascension. And then there's also the Equipment Gathering Galaxy Quest. Now that has two good drops. That's the Heart of the Foreign Gods and also the Eternal Gears. Both will be very grindy if you don't make use of this event while it's open. Now I'm currently at around 1.8 million, and even then I'm hesitant to try to use any golden apples because I do know somewhere down the line, roughly probably around April, we're going to be getting the Da Vinci event, which will, if you remember the Christmas event, will have a box that you can refill. And there will be two of these boxes. So once you completely empty out the box, you will have the chance to refill the box. So it will be quite grindy during that time. So save as many golden apples as you can. If you can't, well, hopefully we'll get more down the line. If you're still having some trouble with these higher level missions, make sure you have the Star of Victoria crafting essence equipped or the Purely Bloom, because some of these missions are almost impossible to complete without having at least multiple copies of them. We have the 2 million download campaign right around the corner. Be a video about that in a day or two. Well, guys and gals, I hope you enjoy the rest of this event, as short as it may be, as I try to finish defeating Ultra Heroine Z. So, until next time, guys and gals, bye-bye.
セイバーを釣る。あとは切るのに焼くのに私の自由ですね。